everybody, it's Lexi here with the Traditional Locs. Welcome to Two Sisters Locked.
Stores are like shall she change. Down the light, spread the dimes. Time to spread this, your dreams can't settle. Godly thrones that be dancing, so lots got a ransom, don't come at all.
So this video is going to be a little bit different than what we usually do. I decided that I wanted to do a review on the docu-series Hair Tales, or it's called The Hair Tales. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's a docu-series that's on Hulu. It was produced by Oprah, Tracee Ellis Ross, and some other big name producers. And basically what they do is they have the conversation with Black women around hair and like what it means to our culture, and all of that stuff. And I just thought it was so interesting. And I felt that because we have a hair channel, I felt that this was a really good opportunity to have this conversation. So before we get started, you already know the drill. Go ahead and subscribe, hit that subscribe button because you don't want to miss all the content that we have planned for this year. We have a lot of really fun videos coming up. So please go ahead and subscribe, like it, leave a comment. This video is not just for people with locks. We're just like having a conversation about Black hair and what it is to be a Black woman in general. So please go ahead and send this video to any of your friends, your families, your aunties, your moms, your daughters, your nieces, anybody who you think would enjoy hearing this and who you would love to have this conversation with, because I think it's something that we really could talk about more in the Black community. And I'm really excited to be sharing this information with you all. I really wanted to do this review because they just brought up so many good points, you know, and yeah, I just loved to hear Black women have the conversation. And so I just want to extend it to you all to have the conversation as well. So the docu-series is about 6 episodes long. Tracee Ellis Ross is the person who's interviewing everybody. It's like she interviews people like Issa Rae, Chloe Bailey, Ayanna Pressley, Oprah Winfrey. And it was just really nice to see Black women who we like aspire to, you know, role models to like talk about like the nuances and the like things that we deal with personally as well. So anyways, let's get into it. So one of the first, the first interview was done with Oprah Winfrey. And in all of the interviews, one of the first questions that Tracee Ellis Ross would ask is, who did your hair? Like, who did your hair growing up? Even that question alone, I feel like it's such a unique question that would only be asked to somebody to a Black woman or somebody in the Black community, because y'all, like, who else spends as much time on our hair as we do? Like, the whole idea of like doing your hair, like, none of my friends who have straight hair have to like go through a lot of like effort and work as a regular basis as we have to do our hair, especially those of us who grew up with like natural, very thick hair. I mean, we had hair day. Like most of us can attest like to the whole idea of hair day, where it's like hours. You're washing your hair, you're detangling, you're styling, and it's kind of like an all-day process. And she would ask people, who did your hair? And Oprah talked about, I think it was her grandmother who did her hair for her. And she talks about it being one of the most loving times spent with her grandmother. It made me think about growing up and like my mom doing my hair. That was a time where, you know, she's like, she is sitting down with me, completely focused on me and like getting me ready for hours at a time, like 2 to 3 hours. My mom did a lot of twists and braids in our hair. And that is a loving time spent, you know? And that's the time when you like have like maybe like more serious, deep conversations. And like, you know, my sister would be nearby and the three of us, that was like kind of like our bonding time. There's a sisterhood around hair, you know, in the Black community, where thinking back to when I was in college, I went to PWI, predominantly white institution. And so for my first 2 years, I was at a Christian university. And I remember one of the first weekends while I was there, the night before we were going to church, my friend and I, we were walking in the dorms, and we walked past a room, and one of the Black girls who lived in the dorms, she had her door open, she was doing her hair, and she was like, oh girl, we're doing hair, you want to come in? And we're like, sure. And we like look inside, and there will be like 3 or 4 other girls, everybody's doing their hair because we're getting ready to go to church. Well, getting ready, you know, kind of prepping, I guess, our hair for church for the next morning. And we joined them, and by the time we joined them, there were like 2 or 3 other girls that came in there, and we were in these tiny dorms. We all just like crammed in there, and we're just like doing hair. We're sharing hair products. We're sharing hair tips. And when I was finished doing my hair, you know, some of the other girls around me like still were finishing their braids or undoing their twists. And I was like, hey, you need help? And I'm like in there braiding, and we're just talking, and we're just building community. you know, and there's such a community around hair. There was something that somebody said in the docu-series, and they said there's something that we've come to have a strong community around, and there's strength in that. And there was strength in that for sure in my experience. Like, we were minority students on this white campus, and you know, that is how I met a lot of my friends who I became close to while I was there. And, you know, it became kind of like a weekly thing where we just knew that we would be in somebody's room getting ready for church and doing our hair. And we would talk about, like, you know, what our experiences were like during the week. We would talk about some of the struggles that we're going through, talk about boys, all that kind of stuff, you know? And that's how I found my community on that campus. And that's how we built, you know, all of us were freshmen, and that's how we kind of built a little community within our class year. And it all started around something as simple as hair, you know? And that's just something very unique to our culture. And, you know, being a Black woman, is that our hair, like the amount of effort that we have to put in and the things that we do to our hair, you know, we really rely on each other to help each other out, whether that's like help each other do the hair, help each other get tips, stuff like that. You know, it's just great. It's great. Another question that Tracee Ellis Ross would ask is, what did you learn about your hair at an early age? And Oprah's comment was that straighter was better. Straighter was better. And I for sure learned that. Somebody in the docuseries made the comment that, like, they learned that straighter was better. Most people said the same thing, straighter was better. They learned that straighter was better at home, and then they went out into the world and into the society, and it was reinforced. And for me, I feel like I was not taught straighter was better at home by my mother, but when I went out into society, it kind of like erased whatever she taught me. I don't want to say erased, but overshadowed everything she taught me. My mom was very much big into, you know, she went and cut out her perm before I was born, and she was very committed to keeping her hair natural, and she was insisting that she was going to keep her daughter's hair natural. And I've never had a perm in my life. I've always had natural hair. And I'm one of the few people who I know who grew up like that. And my mom, you know, she had black dolls at home, and my mom was big into Black history, and we learned all about Black history. And she had, you know, we would have paintings and stuff of Black women in the house, and just, you know, my mom really did try to like saturate us with, you know, seeing that your hair is beautiful. No, we're not going to straighten our hair. We're this, you know. And even with all that, so I've honestly, I've never really had a huge insecurity around my hair like some other people whom I know. But I'm not gonna lie, even with all that at home, I still knew that straight was better. Because in the media, who do we see? Like, we see what's considered beautiful, and the people we admire, like, they all had straight hair. And now things are different, where even, I'm only 25 years old, but there has been a significant increase in the displays of natural hair and representation in that way, which is great. But even when I was growing up, like, the Black women who were in media, you know, they all had straight hair too. So even if you are taught something at home, like, you know, going out in society, seeing everybody else in your family, or like other black women, your teachers, people at church, people in media, everybody else has straight hair, you know, it still does kind of shift your perspective, like, hey, it seems like straight is the way to go, type of a thing. And, you know, you did have people like in my family, like my grandmother. We've talked about this before. My grandmother still to this day is very much into the whole straight hair thing. She's coming to like the locks now. You know why? Because it's long, because they're getting longer. That's when it sold her on the locks. But even when Shelby was getting locks, before she got her locks, she straightened her hair. My grandma was like, oh, you look so pretty. You look like India. And my sister was like, well, Nana, I'm still going to be pretty with my locks. And she said, no, you're not. Like, yo, you know, and it's this like perception of, you know, our hair in its natural state as not being enough, and that we have to do all this work to get it as straight as possible, to look the part, to look tamed, to look professional, and all of that stuff. And, you know, it's been taught over the years. So from a very young age, we have been we are taught these things, and, you know, it's something that's like really hard to like move away from or like unlearn. Ayanna Presley was interviewed in the series, and she is a politician. and she's a Black woman, and she doesn't have any hair on her head because she has alopecia, and she decided to, she doesn't wear a wig or anything like that. She just goes as she is. And before she lost her hair, she did have natural hairstyles and discussed some of the things that people said, and advised against her having wearing her natural hairstyles. She would have twists and braids and stuff like that. But something that she said was there's a willingness to subject ourselves to something painful and uncomfortable in order to be pretty, right? And that's just kind of going into the whole idea of first of all, getting perms, and people often talk about the burning of the scalp, and they're willing to tolerate a little bit extra tingling and stuff like that to make sure your hair gets as straight as possible. I think back to when I would straighten my hair, and oh my goodness, the whole, okay, bend your ears and trying not to get burned, but hey, if I got burned, I was like, it's all right. Did you get them roots? Okay, all right, that's all that matters. And even when they would straighten my hair, they would kind of go over it multiple times, and when they do that thing, then you feel the heat. Oh man, so many times my scalp burned, and I was like, no, you getting in that root though, right? All right, that's what I want. You know what I mean? And there's just things that we're willing to tolerate because we want it to be as straight as possible, and we want it to look the part. And it's just, and I just think about we're willing to subject ourselves to something. She said we're willing to subject ourselves to something painful in order to be pretty. And I'm just thinking, what would happen if we were to change what pretty is? If we were to truly take on the whole idea that our natural hair is pretty, we wouldn't have to feel like we have to subject ourselves to these things. And hey, if you're a person who doesn't think, you don't think that you're subjecting yourselves to anything and you're perfectly fine doing it, hey, do you? But I'm just saying, for those of us who did have, at the time, I did have an issue with oh my gosh, this is really gonna hurt, but okay, but it's gonna look good. For those of us who think that way, if we change our perspective and decide no, my natural hair is pretty, my locks are pretty, my hair in its natural state is pretty, we wouldn't have to subject ourselves to these things. We wouldn't have to go through some of the things that we really don't want to, because we would change our perspective, right? In Issa Rae's interview, she talked about how her mother insists on having her have natural hair and do her natural hair, and she was always, proud of her hair. And then she talked about going to a new school, and it was school with mainly Black students. And she said that, just talked about how she was made fun of, and people would say things about her hair. And she said, just to know that the hair growing on my head wasn't acceptable was devastating. For her, she had been in an environment, and just the way that her mom taught her at home was her hair was beautiful, and the way that her mother would style her hair was beautiful. And, it was devastating to her when she realized that that's not how people saw her hair and the way that she was. She talks about the fact that it was from Black students, it was from other Black students who made her feel that way. In my experience, and being very honest here, I enjoyed my hair as it was. I wanted it to be long, but I liked having twists and stuff like that. I thought I was a cute person or whatever for the most part. I did go through periods where I would straighten my hair a lot, but overall it wasn't I hated my natural hair or anything like that, because I still was very content having my hair natural. But I will say, the one time when I felt the most insecure in my life about my hair, where I decided maybe I should actually just give up this whole, we're natural, we're gonna keep our natural hair, and we're gonna yeah. Where I was let me give up all that nonsense. Let me just go ahead. If it burns off my scalp, I don't care. Let me just straighten it all the time. Was when I went to college, PWI, and once again, just talking about my personal experience in the Trans-Sahara War, but I was in college wanting to date and all that stuff, and at the PWI, the Black guys were not checking for the Black girls at all. And it wasn't just not checking for us. They would make comments and say things out loud and talk to their friends and just say very disrespectful things about Black women and our features, and they would say things about our hair. And there was just a very obvious preference for people who had straight hair or curlier hair. I felt such a strong desire to straighten my hair because I was like, the only thing that I could change, the only feature that I could change that would make them, I don't know, like me. This sounds so pathetic, but I'm just being honest. I'm just being so honest because I'm hoping that maybe somebody else has had this experience and maybe this will resonate with somebody. But that was the first time that I had been so insecure about my hair and wanted to straighten it all the time because I wanted to be seen as beautiful by them. A lot of this does stem from like our society, being in a white society and all that stuff. But at that moment, I was trying to have Black guys notice me. Guys who had my same hair texture. Guys who had my same hair texture, I was trying to get them to accept and notice me. And I was like, I think I would just straighten my hair all the time. And I didn't end up doing it. I straightened my hair like a few times, but you know, I still kept it natural. It's just, as much as it is our society and it is, you know, the whole like mindset due to colonialism and all that stuff, we in our community are pushing a lot of the stuff still, and we're teaching it to children at a very young age. We have had to assimilate into the society, and ways that we've had to do that was change the way we speak, right? We have to speak standard American English. We can't change our skin. I know some people do bleaching and stuff like that. We can't change our skin, but we can change our hair. And that has been a way that we have had to adjust over the decades in order to be seen as professional and to like hopefully get our foot in the door and be accepted into certain spaces. I think probably years, hundreds of years ago, we probably accepted our hair and a lot of our natural features more often. But as you know, we've been like transplanted into this society where, you know, there are certain features that are considered better and all that stuff. And in order to survive, get jobs and all that stuff, we have had to adjust and do things with our hair, blah, 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 to achieve certain success. And somewhere along the way, it became less about survival and it just became something that we accepted as as truth about our hair, which is not true, but as truth about our hair, that, you know, our hair in its natural state is not good enough. Our hair in its natural state is unruly and it's unkept and all that stuff, and we have to continue to pass this along to other generations, like something that we have now internalized into ourselves. It takes a lot to unlearn that. Issa Rae, I love Issa Rae. And okay, so some people, I have been told by some people that I remind them of Issa Rae. I don't know if it's true or not, but like anyways. And something that she said, which I absolutely love, and you know, Issa Rae, she usually has like the like cutest natural styles. She said, now that we are leading the conversations, we get to dictate our hair and how it's perceived. I was like, yes. Like, I don't know if any of you guys have seen Insecure, Issa Rae's one of her famous shows, but like her being able to write that show, produce that show, star in that show, the way that like she had like the women in that show having natural hair, it takes us being the ones to like insist, like, no, like this is how I'm gonna show up, and I'm gonna show up authentically me every time. I think it starts with us. Nobody is going to appreciate our natural features, our hair, whatever it may be, until like we as a community really push for it and like start to embrace it and insist that this is what is considered beautiful, what is considered acceptable. When I was in high school, I wore my hair natural most of the time, but I would straighten my hair every now and then. And as soon as like you walk into school, it's like, oh my gosh, Lexi, oh my gosh, look at you. You're so beautiful. Oh my gosh, you're so pretty. Look at your hair. Oh my gosh. Like, and I had a friend tell me, oh my gosh, like when your hair is straight, you're just so calm and like collective and like polite. And when it's like everything else, you're more like, ah. And I literally was like, what? Okay. But I'm gonna come up here natural every time though. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen that meme where it's like, you know, when people come and say your hair looks beautiful, you should straighten your hair, and you say, you gonna love whatever comes out of this bonnet. Like, I'm still coming up in here natural. Like, don't get it twisted. This was cute for a day, but I'm about to come back up in here natural. Do not get it twisted. And it's funny because some of the same people who used to insist, they're like, oh my gosh, like, so your hair looks so pretty straight, and would like only think my hair looked pretty straight. Ever since I stopped straightening it and I was doing more natural styles, now I have locks, like those same people are like telling me like how much they love my natural hair. And I'm just saying, do whatever you want with your hair. We can do whatever we want with your hair. Straighten it, you know, put braids in, put extensions, do whatever you want, put locks on. You know, I'm an advocate for locks. But the confidence that we project about how we perceive ourselves and our hair, people have no choice but to catch on to it. If we are showing up with our natural hair, when we are getting hired and we are booking gigs, whether it's like you're an actor or whatever, like when we start showing up and like we're telling the world this is us and this is what's beautiful, they have no choice but to fall in line and agree. An agenda. I'm kidding. But I'm just saying, it starts with us. It made me sad to hear so many stories in the docu-series of some of these women like getting the most pressure and negative comments from, you know, Black people around them. Because we of all people need to be the biggest advocates for our natural features and our natural hair. And even Chloe Bailey, I love her and Hallie's locks. They had locks since they were kids. And she talked about when they first started and they were doing interviews when they were doing auditions as kids, they were not getting booked for a long time because everybody kept saying they were cute or they were talented or whatever, but they had locks. Their parents never combed out their locks, but their parents insisted that, hey, this is what our kids' hair looks like. We are going to keep showing up until somebody starts to book them. But guess what? Now they got in and now we have these beautiful locked queens. They're doing music. I mean, she's literally about to be the Little Mermaid, the Black Little Mermaid. Y'all. Even now, you know, they're kind of experimenting a little bit more with their locks and with like other styles. And Chloe recently just basically they braided down her locks and she has, I think it's a wig. Anyways, she has like straighter, more fluffier hair, and to see the comments that are on her pictures online from other Black women talking badly about her locks and like, you know, in favor of her new style, her new hairstyle. I think her new hairstyle looks fabulous. Like I think she looks beautiful either way. But to hear like the negative like comments and like the things that people are saying about her locks is really hurtful. I'm like, that's coming from our own, y'all. Like this shouldn't be a thing. So when I got my locks, that was, I mean, I got my locks for multiple reasons. There's another video, why we got our locks or whatever. You can look at that. But, you know, one of the things that when I got my locks, that was like my way of being like, no, I'm going to show up 100% natural at all times. At all times. Because even like with my loose natural hair, I would straighten it sometimes, you know, I could straighten it sometimes or whatever. And for a while that was like, I would always have my hair natural, but if I had to have an interview, if we're going to a wedding, a really nice event or something like that, I would straighten it because I felt like that was the best thing that I could do with my hair. And when I got locks, that was my way of saying, I'm going to be 100% natural all the time. Like every time I show up, you will see me in my natural, like with my natural hair. You know, I was just like, I really was tired of all of the like things that were said when my hair was straight, you know, like, oh, this is better. Oh my gosh, you look so much prettier. Like, I was just like, no. And every time I said I was getting locks, and my girl was like, no, you're not gonna get married. She was telling me I'm not gonna get married. I was like, okay, well, this is 100% me. I personally felt like when I was straightening my hair, I don't want to say I was fake, but I just felt like it was like people were complimenting something about me. And it in my opinion, even though it was my hair, I just felt like it wasn't real because it was like the amount of like effort that it took to have to like get it this straight. Like, I mean, they would have to put the flat iron at 450 degrees. I was frying my hair to get that thing straight. And then like anytime there's like any raindrops, any humidity, like you're running away, you're like, oh my gosh, so much. Like I literally, and then it's like when people are complimenting you, oh my gosh, it's so pretty. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty. And this is my hair because it's growing out of my head, but this isn't really my hair. Like this is not how my hair naturally grows. And, you know, when, you know, my grandma says things like, oh, you're not going to get married. You're not going to get this. They don't think you're going to get a job, all that stuff. I literally was at the point where I was like, you know what? I mean, I care, but like if something like hair, if you're so superficial for something like hair to be like the defining factor as to whether or not he's gonna get to know me or not, then I didn't want him in the first place. Like, dead serious. Like, I'm showing up 100% natural. Like, this is me. Like, take it or leave it type of a thing. And that's when I got my locks. Like, I just feel like a lot better. Like, I'm just like, I don't feel like I'm putting on like a facade. Like, I'm like super proud of my locks because they're like my hair. It's like in its natural state. And I'm just like, you know, whoever accepts me, like is accepting me for 100% me, right? Not for something that like I have to like try and like keep up and do the most to, you know, try and pass at something. When it comes to like work and stuff like that, you know, I go to the interviews, I go in with my locks, so I'm like, hey, this is me. Like, y'all can take me or leave me. I have assimilated in other ways. I speak the Queen's English. I'm kidding. But, you know, I speak Standard American English. You know, I've gone to university. I've gotten your degrees that you wanted me. I'm going to keep my hair like how I want it. Like, I've done everything I have wanted me to do. I am going to keep my hair as I want to. Another quote from the series was, for Black women, our hair journey is so much connected to our self journey. Like and she said, like, I can chronicle my self-acceptance journey through my journey with my hair. And yeah, I feel that for sure. I'm just in a space right now where I'm just kind of like, no, like, I'm fully accepting like all parts of myself, like regardless of other people accept it or not. And yeah, what's coming out of this bonnet? Locks. And y'all gonna accept the locks. Period. Tracee Ellis Ross also said, while I was fighting through some of those things, my hope was that nobody ever had to fight through that again or look in the mirror and see shame when their hair puffed up. When I see little Black girls who are younger than me, I'm just like, oh man. I want to like help move the society so we can create just like a space where like Black girls don't have to feel this shame, you know, as kids, you know, trying to like fit in or not feeling that they're beautiful enough because like the girls around them, you know, have different hair texture to them. So at the wrap of this video, I really think that it is time, and we've been having these conversations for a while, but I mean, we really need to like really look at ourselves and have more conversations around our internalized perceptions of our hair and where that comes from. And man, like, y'all, like, I think a lot of times like we are like trying to like put things in place to have our hair accepted. And yes, like we can look to like the companies and the laws and all that stuff, but like, y'all, it starts with us, like 100%. It starts with us. And we just have so much power, so much more power than we even realize that we have. And once we like identify that power and use it, like, y'all, like, come on, we could like change so much. That's all I have for you guys today. Just want to affirm us as a people. You are beautiful. Your hair is beautiful. Your features are beautiful. And it is time that we let them show. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope I didn't talk too much. I hope this wasn't boring, but I just really wanted to get that off my chest. And I hope that you send this to somebody. Send this to a friend. Send this to like your mom, your grandma, your great grandma, your auntie, your female boss, your whoever. Like, let's have this conversation. Comment down below. Let me know what you thought about it. Like, what were some of your perceptions? Comment down below. Some of the questions I asked were, who did your hair growing up? What did you learn about your hair at an early age? Just some of the perceptions of your hair. Do you tend to wear your hair straight? Do you wear your hair natural? Like, do you feel like there's a difference in how people perceive you? Do you find that you have like difficulty with like in the professional workspace with your hair? Like, let's have a conversation below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Go ahead, don't forget to check us out on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest. I'm thinking that I might want to go live with a few other Loc influencers on Instagram at some point and like have some of these like interview questions with them. And I think that would be a lot of fun to kind of like see, hear about everybody's journey, everybody's hair tale. So let me know what you guys think. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and do not forget to come back for another video coming up very soon. Bye.